All right. So what you should have noticed happened today was that chapter 0 has completed. It would lock. And most of you, if you hadn't already done it, should have gotten a post-objective knowledge check. So basically, if you log in now, you probably, if you haven't done it already, will see a knowledge check there. That happens at the end of every chapter. So when you complete a chapter, if you complete it early, it'll happen then. It might take a little bit before it pops up, but if not, it'll pop up right at the end when the time is up. Basically,
Yeah.
all that's designed to do is to figure out which topics you really know, just to master them, and to let you refresh your memory on some of those ones that you might have forgotten how to do. So
Yeah, I kind of just already did it because I didn't even. I thought it was like a part of the assignment.
yeah, no, that's totally fine. It's just one thing you have to do.
Yeah.
Um, One thing when you're going through and doing it, do not go, oh, I hate this, I don't want to do this, and click I don't know on every question. You will get them all back, which will suck for you. The other thing that can happen, and I have seen this happen, especially in the beginning, is when you do it, try your best because we've gone over a lot of stuff and things you might now know you didn't know before. So you can actually master more topics than you've already done, and they'll take them off the pie and you won't have to do them again. So do really try your best on these knowledge checks as they come up, because just like the first one, it's less work that you'll actually have to do if you actually master topics that you didn't even start working on. So we're going to start on chapter 1 today. This week and next week we'll finish up chapter 1, and then the following week after that will be the test for chapter 0 and chapter 1.
Yeah,
So
about that.
yep.
I did like most of the knowledge check, but it gave me like 50 answers in total.
So the knowledge checks will max out at about 30 questions tops. You won't see any more than that. But you
Sure.
could see less than that. It doesn't. It varies because the goal is for it to figure out where you are.
Well, it
So
gave me like 80.
on the knowledge check,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen one that high.
Well, it is.
Okay, well that's new. Um,
Just thought I'd let you know.
okay, I didn't think it was go that big, that high. So maybe something changed. I'll look into it. So, all right, let's start going over some of the chapter 1 stuff. We will do every single topic from this going forward. So some of these beginning topics you guys already have known how to do, and I looked, and even 100% of you have done them. But I'll just quickly go over those, and then we'll get into some of the other ones. But from this point forward, I will do every single topic in the chapter, so you'll have notes on them all. All right. First couple things, we're looking at perimeter. So perimeter is around the outside of a shape. So no matter what the shape is, for perimeter, all you're going to do is add up all the sides. So in this case, we have 8 plus 11 plus 12 plus 13 plus 9. So we add those up. We got 11 plus 9 is 20. 12 plus 8 is 20. Remember, that's at associative property. We can move things around. We don't have to add them. So add up things that make sense together. So those two are 20. So 20 plus 20 is 40. Plus 13 is 53. So that's a quick way to be able to do addition in your head, is look for things that are easy to put together that come up with a number that you can easily keep track of. So in this case, I was doing the 20s. So let's go back. So this one is going to be 53. And do make sure you use the right units. It will mark it wrong if you don't. So this one's feet. Perimeter of a square. Remember, a square, all 4 sides are the same. So we could, I can get a new. Nope, not what I wanted. So you could do this one way. You could add the 17 4 times, or since it's a square, you could just do 4 times 17. So we've got 40 plus 28 is 68. So again, make sure you're using the right units when you put it in. So in this case, we have 68. All right, apparently that's not going to work. There we go. And it's going to be centimeters, so we do centimeters. Rectangle, when we're looking at rectangles, sides are the same. So you have 9 meters there, means you have 9 meters on the bottom, 12 meters here, and 12 meters there. So we got 9 plus 12 is 21. 21 times 2 is 42. Hello, Levi. So this one is 40. Oh, this is where reading is fundamental. This question is not asking for perimeter. This one was asking for area. So you can see how quickly things can go wrong. So area for a rectangle, we're multiplying. So area is length times width. So we have 9 times 12. So 90 and 18 is 108. If you have questions, just there's a raise your hand feature in Teams. You can just hit that. It'll pop up on my screen. Or you can just turn on your mic and talk to me too. So this one's 98 or 108. Now remember, notice in this one it's meters squared because area is always square units. So triangles. Triangles are basically half of rectangles. So to find the area of a triangle, it's 1/2 base times height. Base and height have to meet at 90 degrees. So in this case, the 4 and the 15 are my base and my height because they meet at that 90-degree angle. So it's 1/2 times 4 times 15. Half of 4 is 2. 2 times 15 is 30. And now remember we said area was always squared, so it's centimeters squared. Questions on that? Those, or are we good? Okay. Circumference of a circle and area of a circle. Circumference of a circle is 2 times pi times radius. Area of a circle is pi times radius squared. There is multiple formulas for the circumference of a circle. You could have done pi times diameter. However, it's really good to get into the habit of just always using your radius for them because everywhere else other than circumference, you have to have the radius. So getting into that habit of always finding the radius is going to help you out in that case. So in this problem here, I have my diameter is 28. So the radius is half that. So it's 14 yards. So we're looking for my circumference. So it's 2 times 3.14 times 14. And we'll go back to there. You are going to have a calculator for this one. So you can do 2 times 3.14 times 14. So we get 87.92. Don't use the pi key. If you have a pi key on your calculator, do not use that on this. because it's going to change the rounding. So when you're doing the ones on here, if they tell you to use 3.14, use 3.14 and not the pi key. So this one would be 87 point, and they say round, do not round your answer, so 87.92. Circumference is just like perimeter, so we're using yards for this one. Next topic is just area and perimeter. It's the same concept. So you just have to do both of them. So in this case, they gave me my radius. My radius is 3. So the circumference is 2 times 3.14 times 3. And my area is 2, or not 2. Area is 3.14 times 3 squared. Squared does not mean multiply by 2. Very common mistake. Squared means times itself. So in this case, it's 3 times 3. And you can type it in either way into the calculator. So there's the area they want first. So it's 3.14 times 3. That's not what I wanted to do. Hide over there for a second. So 3.14 times, apparently it's not going to be nice, 3 squared. So we get 28.26. Now area is squared, so that's the meters squared. Now for circumference, we have 2 I'm trying to find my multiplication symbol. Of course, it's not there. Why would it be there? That's fine. 2 times 3.14 times 3. We'll do it that way. So we get 18.84. Now this one says don't round our answers either. And that circumference is just meters. Do make sure you read on this one. They have a tendency to switch the circumference and area, and you don't want to put them in the wrong spot. That seems to be the most common mistake when people get these wrong, is they just put them in the wrong spots. I think that's the end of the area and perimeter stuff. Yeah, so any questions on area and perimeter? Are we good with those? Awesome. All right, so this one is just plugging in to the formula. So you could do this a couple different ways. You could just use Desmos, or you could just use the calculator here. So they're taking Fahrenheit and they want to change it to Celsius. So we're using the Celsius formula up top there. So you're going to do 5 over 9. So 5 over 9. So remember, fractions are just division. So we could easily just do the division percentage for that. Then parentheses, it was F. So in this case, we got 39 minus 32. Close your parentheses there.
This is exactly the question I trumped on too. I didn't know it.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that, like, it's just sometimes it's tricky.
This one I've never heard of, this question.
So they said round to the nearest tenth of a degree. So in this case, it's 3.88. So it's going to be 3.9 degrees Celsius. Now it's not going to give me the keyboard when I actually want it. Really? 3.9 degrees Celsius. So if you ever actually travel overseas and stuff like that, most of the rest of the world uses Celsius. A quick, easy way to do it, if they give you in Celsius, is just double it and add 32. It's not going to give you the exact temperature, but it's going to get you pretty close because doubling it would be 10 over 5, and it's just 9 over 5. So, and if you need to go the other direction, it's subtract 32 and cut it in half. So we subtract 32, you get 7 in this case, cut it in half, it's 3.5. So it's pretty close. That's an easy way, quick way to do it in your head to see if you get the right answer, or to check your answer, and also to help you in life if you ever travel and stuff like that. Even going to Canada, they use Celsius. So basically, us and the United Kingdom are the only places that actually use Fahrenheit. So like London and stuff. All right, next couple is on percents. So when you're looking at the percent problem, the word what, that's going to be your x. Is, not 18. Is will be your equal sign. Your percent you want to write as a decimal. Of is multiplication. And then your number is just a number. So in this problem right here, we have what? So x is 30% as a decimal is 0.30 times 84. That's how you'd write it. So just take that and translate that word into an actual equation. So in this case, we're just multiplying 0.30 times 84. And I don't know if they give you a calculator on this one or not. They do not. So since it's one or two decimal, you just move it one decimal place. So it's 8.4 and then times 3. So you can use a calculator if you have one. So we get 24. That's the 8 times the 3. And then 1.2. So you get 25.2. See if I did my calculations correctly in my head. There we go, 25.2. So you guys are allowed to use a scientific calculator even if they don't give you one in the actual program. So this is one of those ones that I would just use the calculator to do the calculations out. So this one is the simple interest problems. If you ever go to a bank, you're never going to get a simple interest loan. And actually, you don't really want, they're never going to offer you a simple interest loan because you'd want a simple interest loan. They will actually offer you a simple interest savings account, which you also do not want. So simple interest savings accounts are not in your favor. They're in the bank's favor. That's why they still offer them. So simple interest is basically just you only earn interest on the deposit you put in. Compound interest is what you'd want. That means you earn interest on your interest. So if you put $3,000 in the bank, pays a simple interest rate of 5%, they want to know how much she's going to have in the first 4 years. So really, we just figure it out for 1 year, and we're going to multiply it by 4. So 3,000 times 0.05, so is going to equal $150. So after 1 year, we'd get $150, and now they want it after 4 years, so that would be $600 she would earn. That's simple interest. Compound interest, which is not this problem, but I think it's something actually important to know. After the first year, so year 1 or year 0, you'd have the $3,000. Year 1, you'd have $3,150 in there. Now year 2, you'd earn interest on that $3,150. So you would earn more interest this way on it instead of just the 150. That 150 is going to grow every year. So in this case, they just want the interest paid, which is $600. Do read it. Sometimes they want the actual total amount. So sometimes they'll want you to add back the 3,000. In this case, they just want the 600. Any questions on that one? All right, the next 11 questions are really getting into the algebra type stuff. So we're going to look at next. So the first few problems, and these are ones that a little more people had trouble with, is translating a problem or word problem into an expression. So it says yesterday Teresa had D baseball cards. So yesterday she had D cards. Today she got 19 more. She had 19 more. But she had 19 more than what she had, right? So she adds 19 of that. So my expression will be D plus 19. Because she had D yesterday, and we're adding 19 more today. If you have trouble figuring it out with number or with the letters, do it with numbers. So if she had 10 baseball cards yesterday, she got 19 more today. How many cards does she have? Well, I have to add 19 to the 10, so I'd have 29. So if you do that a couple times in your head, it's like, okay, I'm adding. And then just turn it back to the letter. So I would do 10 plus 19, 20 plus 19. Oh, well, that's the one that's changing. So it's D plus 19. So you can look for the patterns in what you're doing with numbers and then just turn it back into the expression that they want. That process makes sense? All right, so in this case, it's going to be D plus 19. Oh. Make sure you put the lettering in the exact way they want it. So in this case, it was a lowercase d. Make sure to put the lowercase d. Sometimes they'll mark it wrong, sometimes they won't. So here's the next one. Let's go back and do one more of those. All right, so take a second, try to come up with this one and see what you're going to get for this one, and then I'll put it in.
Oh,
Yes,
for a
Alex.
second, I thought my phone froze.
I missed some parts because of the connection. So
Okay.
to recap that.
So like for this one, when we're looking at this one, we're going to do, so look for yesterday. So in this case, well, the one that we did there, but I'll come up with the next one. So yesterday he had 114. Today he got M more. But what my suggestion was is to use numbers. So today he got 10 more. So if we add, so in this case, since we got 10 more, that's adding. So we'd add 10. So we picked the number. In the problem, it's M. So you can use a number to make sense on which operation you're going to do. And then you can just turn it back to the letter after that point. So the answer for this one's going to be 114 plus M. All right. So this is the same thing. It's just going to be a little less realistic. It's just going to be an actual problem. What you want to look at this one is the different wording. So some, increased, more, those are going to be plus or addition. Decrease, subtract, take away, those things will be subtraction. Product, multiply will be multiplication. Quotient or division will be your division ones. So in this case, it's product. So it's just going to be 9 times b. Don't use the X on your keyboard for times. Make sure you use their symbol in the problem for times. So 9 times b. And it doesn't matter the order in multiplication. So you could have done b times 9 and got the same thing. It is proper to always put your number first when you're doing multiplication times variables. So 9b would be fine. The sum of 4 and x. Sum is addition. So 4 plus x. Now, order does not matter in addition and multiplication. Order does matter in subtraction and division. So do keep that in mind. Let's see if we can get a subtraction one real quick. Of course, I want one, so we're not going to get it.
Apparently, from yesterday, I had like 80 topics. I guess that fixed. Might have been a glitch.
Oh, it's okay. It's not. You didn't get 80 questions on your knowledge check. You got 80 topics. You mastered 80 topics.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
Is this
that's
a
what-
knowledge check right here?
No, this is not a knowledge check. This just happens to be.
Master 80 topics
I make one up
from 20 or like 30 questions.
because you did really well.
Okay.
That was what I was saying. You could, especially at the beginning, those are the types of things you're going to say.
I thought I got 80 topics.
Yeah. All right, so this one's going to be B since they're not going to give me a subtraction one.
Okay.
B more than.
That's even better.
All right, so let's go on. Your knowledge check will look actually similar to this, except for the problem is that you're not going to see the numbers on the top. It'll just be a progress bar. So you won't see 20 questions and be able to jump around. It's going to be in order, and the progress bar at the top will continue to go. All right, so another translate problem. We got 24 more than twice Greg's height. This is one of those ones where you start, it gets a little more complicated, and it's a lot easier when you actually do it in terms of numbers. So the piece we don't know is Greg's height, right? Let's pick a number for Greg's height. Let's say Greg's height is 40. So G is 40. So if I'm going to do 24 more than twice Greg's height, in order of operations, what am I going to do first? Am I going to do the more than or the twice? Anyone?
I would say twice.
Correct, because twice is multiplication. And we do multiplication before we do addition. So I'm going to say 2 times 40. And then we're going to take that and we're going to add the 24. So does that make sense when we put it in as a terms of a number? And it doesn't matter the number you pick. You can choose any number you want because we're actually not going to solve it. Because now that I've got what I'm going to do, I just change that to a G. And that is my answer. So use a number to make sense in your head. And when you write it down, then you plug the letter back in and you have your answer. So in this case, it's going to be 2 times G plus 24. I really want a less than 1. Yes. Awesome. Perfect. All right. It says 66 decreased by twice Greg's score. So let's say Greg's score was 20. So I'm doing 2 times 20, because remember we said we're doing the multiplication first. 2 times 20. The question is, am I going to do minus 66 after? So is it going to be 40 minus 66? Or is it going to be 66 minus 40? Which one of those makes sense? The 40 minus the 66 or the 66 minus the 40?
I believe 66 minus 40.
Yeah, it's a 60. So 66 decreased by. That means I'm taking whatever I got for Greg's score and subtracting it from the 66. So that's afterwards. So in this case, I'm going to have 66 minus 2g. (66 minus 2g). That the subtraction is really where writing it out is going to help you, because sometimes you have to put it in front, sometimes you have to put it behind. All right, evaluating expressions. So when we're evaluating expressions, this is where the order of operations comes into play. So I have x is 19 and y is 5. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change all the letters to numbers. So I have 19 plus 5 squared, and then 19 minus 3 times 5. Any questions on what I did there? Does that step make sense? All right, so now this is where that order of operations comes into play. So order operation says parentheses first. Now I put a bunch of parentheses, but there's really nothing inside those parentheses to do. The second step is exponents. So actually, let me go back 1 second. Because of the way this one's set up, when we're looking at this, you want to do the top and the bottom separately. Because of the fraction, we're not going to divide when we're doing it. So we're going to have to do the addition on the top and the subtraction on the bottom before we do the division in the middle, because I have to figure out what the top and the bottoms are. So on the top, I have 19 plus 25. What's 19 plus 25? 35, 44. On the bottom, I have 19 minus 15. So 19 minus 15 is 4. Now that I've done the top and the bottom, now I can do my division. So 44 divided by 4 is 11. That makes sense. I'm gonna have you guys do one in a second.
It makes sense to me.
All right, so let's put that one in, and then I'm gonna have you guys try one. All right. All right, try this one for me.
Where do we put the chat answer? Do we just say it?
You can put it in the chat. Actually, that's probably the easiest one to do it when you get the answer.
Wait, there's a chat?
Yeah, so depending on if you're using the app, right at the top, there's a little bubble. You can click that to see the chat.
Oh, I wish I knew about this.
Yeah, if you guys have questions, you're more than welcome just to pop them in there too.
Mr. Baker, I'll be back because I'm having a hard time with the connection right now.
No problem. I'm recording the whole thing, so you can always go back and watch it after class too. So you'll be able to get everything.
Okay.
I calculated my answer all in my head. Hey, I got right too.
There you go. I will tell you, doing that in the actual exercises is fine. Don't do it on the test or a knowledge check, because if you screw it up in your head and you get it wrong,
Oh
you're
yeah,
gonna
I
get the
know.
top back.
Oh, I know. That's why I would never do that. I was just doing that just to see if I could get it.
Yeah. So you see how I did the process. Couple things. Notice whenever I plug things in, if it's next to anything, I always put parentheses around it. So that 7 next to the 5, I put parentheses around it. It's a nice habit to get into, because if you just put the 7 there and you go back later and look at it, you might not remember that it was 5 times 7, and you might think it's 57 and try to figure out which got wrong. So it's always a good habit to put things in parentheses, especially when we start dealing with signs and whatnot. All right, so this answer is 12. All right. Same thing with this one. Nothing different. The only difference in this one that they add in is they add in the signs. So when we're looking at this one, goes back to those things I was saying about parentheses and whatnot. You really want to use the parentheses. So the B is 7 and the C is -2. So we have negative B plus 3C. So negative, parentheses 7, plus 3, parentheses -2. So these parentheses are really added to be negatives. So, or to be multiplication. So we have negative times 7 is -7. And then 3 times -2 is -6. -7 minus 6 is -13. Remember, same signs we add, different signs we subtract. But the concept's really the same thing as the other problem that we were doing. So we got -13. When you're typing in negatives, it's just the minus sign. So I'm using the keyboard. This one's no different. It's more evaluating. So I've got x is -5. We're just plugging that in multiple places. So I've got x squared plus 9x plus 7. When you look at this topic, the topic I think is called evaluating quadratic expressions. It sounds complicated. It's just, again, the same thing we were doing before. You're going to put the -5 into all the x's. Now, this one is very important when you're looking at your signs and squaring. Make sure you do your signs too. So it's -5 times a -5. Those two negatives, I have two negatives, so it's a positive answer. So it's positive 25. 9 times -5 is minus 45, and then plus 7. So -20 plus 7 is -13 again. Seems to be -13 is a common answer today. Any questions on the evaluating of the functions? Very good with those. While there's a million or 200 and something topics in Alex, there's a lot of repetitive topics because they break things down quite a bit. So. All right. Simplifying ones with like terms. So in this case, I've got 6y minus 4y. Like terms have to have the exact same letters and exponents. So in this case, they're both y. So I have 6 y's minus 4 y's. So I have 6 cookies minus 4 cookies. So I have 2 cookies or 2 y's left. We literally just look at the 6 minus 4. Another way you can look at this is 6 minus 4 times the y. You can pull the y out. So 6 minus 4 is the 2. Now, if that y, one had an exponent on and one didn't, we would not be able to put them together. They have to have the same exponent and variables. Same thing in this one. We have 7x minus 11x. So we're going to do the 7 minus 11. So it's just negative 4x. Same concept. You're just going to have sign numbers in it.
Yeah, because you're not really doing anything to the variable, so the variable stays.
Correct. Yep. Distributing is multiplying everything on the outside, the thing on the outside by everything on the inside. So I have 4w plus 6. We're going to distribute the 4 to both pieces on the inside. Now, when you're multiplying a number times a letter, you're multiplying it actually by its coefficient. Yes, Alex?
For some reason, when I came back in, you're not sharing the...
Oh, the screen's not shared?
Yes.
Right.
Shared.
Hold on. That's fine. I will unshare and reshare. Not a problem. Easy fix.
For me, it was sharing.
Yeah, so there's a glitch on this when sometimes
Oh.
when you come in later, you don't actually see the screen share for some reason. I don't know why.
To me, this is kind of like Discord or Google Meet.
Yeah, there's always those little bugs. All right, so we're really multiplying the 4 times the 1. So 4 times 1 is 4. So I have 4w. And then 4 times 6 is 24. Now, I cannot put the 4w and the 24 together because the 424 does not have a w. So we can multiply, you can put a number together with it, but not with addition. So in this case, it's just 4w plus 24. All right. Again, same concept, same thing, just bigger. So we have negative 9 minus 5y minus 2v plus 3. So we're going to distribute the negative 9 to all three pieces. When you're multiplying numbers and with these, you're looking at them as individual terms. So what you will do is actually, is in essence, you're going to look at that part and that part. So negative 9 times negative 5. Two negatives make it positive, so it's 45y. Since it's the first one, you don't have to put the positive. Anything after that point, you will have to put the sign. So negative 9 times negative 2 is a positive 18. So we do 18v. And you have to put the plus sign there for that one. Negative 9 times positive 3 is a negative 27. And by putting the negative sign there, we put the subtraction sign. And that's my answer. It's as simplified as I can get. I can't put the 45 and the 18 together because they're not the same letter. One's a Y and one's a V. So we have 45y plus 18v minus 27. As with Alex, things start to build on each other. So we've done the distributing, we've done it with signs, we've done the combining like terms. Now you've got the concept where you're doing both of them together. So we have negative 3u plus 3 plus 2u. So the first thing we're going to do is distribute. So we're going to get rid of my parentheses. So negative 3 times u is negative 3u. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. And the 2u we're not multiplying by the negative 3 because it is not inside the parentheses. However, now I have a negative 3u and I have a positive 2u. Those both have the same letter with the same exponent, so I can put those together. So negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1u. And then I just put the minus 9. So I have negative 1u minus 9. Now, you do not have to put the 1. You can eliminate the 1, but you do have to put the negative sign. So I'm going to put the 1 because I believe it's just going to tell you didn't have to put the 1. Yeah. So notice how they put it there. They have the negative u minus 9. It's the same exact thing. You don't typically have to write the 1. However, if you write it, it's not going to mark it wrong. So it's just a good habit to get into and not putting the 1s there. Last one. Again, simplifying the expression. Now this one does not have any parentheses in it, which makes things nice, but it does have exponents in it. So when we're looking at this one, let's look at the x squared first. So I have 7x squared, and I have negative 10x squared. I cannot put the 5x with that one because it does not have the squared on it. So I have 7 minus 10 is negative 3x squared. Now, it doesn't matter how you do these. However, it'll allow you to put them in any way you want as long as the signs and stuff are correct. The proper way to do it is descending exponents. So we've done the x squared. The next term you would want to put is the 5x. So the next term I'm going to want to put is that one because it's the only one with just an x. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at the two numbers that are by themselves. So I've got negative 8 plus 12, which would be plus 4. And then that would be the final answer I would put. Does that part make sense? As I've
Yeah.
rolled everybody to sleep. All right. So they've got the exponent button on it there, so you can just do 7 x squared plus 5x, and it was plus 4. What did I type wrong? Oh, it's not 7x squared. That's what I typed wrong. I knew I had the problem right. There we go. All right. Stop recording.